Good evening all, I'm back again for another review. If you don't know who I am, I'm DC Cookster. Well, technically it's not so much of a review, this one, it's more of a share on how much I love this film to bits, as into the fact that it is my favourite film of all time. It is number one on my list, on top of, even in front of the Dark Knight trilogy, I should say, Terminator films. This is the one. This is my favourite film of all time. Okay, and it is, with a drum roll in the background somewhere, if you got one. It's Flight of the Navigator. I know you expected something pretty big or something very popular, but this film, to me, is the best film I've ever seen in my life. There are many reasons why I love this film. Oh, it's just brilliant. So I'm just going to give you basically a brief outline of some facts about the film. So it was released on July 30th, 1986 in the US. Its director was Randall Kleiser. I hope I've got that right. It was made on a budget of $9 million and made just over $18.5 million US dollars. Its cast consisted of Joey Kramer as David Freeman, a young Sarah Jessica Parker as Carolyn McAdams, and Paul Rubens playing the best voice ever in a film, Troy Maxon or Max. Simple as that. I'm going to stick with Max for the rest of this video. It's just a lot easier for me to say. There are many other cast members in this film. Veronica Cartwright and Cliff D. Young. I could talk about all these characters. I really could. There are his older brother in this film. But I could seriously admit this video would be about 2 hours long if I was to do all this through the book. So I'm just going to stick to the two main characters and Sarah Jessica Parker. She's not in it much, but she does have a role to play in it. Let me get into this film. I love this film for many reasons. It is a awesome family adventure film for me. Anybody with a family, even now, could sit down and watch this and thoroughly enjoy it. It has its high moments, it has its low moments, it has its funny moments. There's quite a few funny moments in it. It is not action-packed, but you're not bored when you watch this film in any way, shape or form. I shall give you a little bit of the outline of the story, but I won't say too much of it about it, because in case you haven't seen it. So basically, David Freeman, the character David Freeman, basically accidentally gets knocked out and then gets picked up by a drone, Troy Maxon or Max, and basically time travels 8 years into the future, and basically the adventure pretty much starts from there. I can't give away too much more after that, but that's basically the basic outline. And basically the end goal is all he's trying to do is get back home in his own time. You know, like when he was born. You know what I mean? He's trying to get back to his own time. I think Jerry Kramer played this very well. I really did enjoy him. I enjoyed his character. Like I said, he had his highs, he had his lows. He had his funny moments where he was laughing. You kind of felt for him. You could understand why he was in a little bit in despair, and that the reason why he wanted to go home. And all that. Obviously, gradually through the film, you pick up the storyline. It's not a massively deep storyline. It doesn't take a lot to figure out what's going to happen. But the fact is, it's just absolute. It's like it is a proper adventure story. Just, you know, it's awesome. It's awesome. So all in all, yeah, he done a cracking job in in this film for a 12-year-old kid. He, you know, I thought he was brilliant. I honestly thought he was brilliant. So moving on to Sarah Jessica Parker, very young Sarah Jessica Parker, obviously, but, or a younger Sarah Jessica Parker. She didn't, like I said, she didn't have a massive role in this film, but the role she did have in it was quite good. The interaction with her and David in this film was pretty good. Had its levity moments, and you know, she was like his person he could talk to, because he didn't trust the scientists that were trying to, well, I wouldn't say interrogate him, but trying to do tests on him would be the word. He kind of opened up to her. He's the person he could speak to, and then eventually she helps him in a way. I can't give too much away about this film if you haven't seen it. Now, moving on to Max, or the spaceship, the Trimaxian. That's the third time I've said it. I think I've got it right. And it's basically a robotic eye on like an arm. So if you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm on about. If you haven't seen the film, you will know what I'm on about. And the voice of this character was played by Paul Rubens, or actually in the credits of this film, the actual name of him is Paul Hall, but it's actually well, it's the same person but different name. You know, this voice, this character, this, if you want to call it, feature of the film, whatever, was the best addition to this film. This is what made this film, is this character Max. When you first see him, he's very alien talking like, and he's like talking to a human and kind of looking down at the human, thinking you're very inferior and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a scene where he has to scan David's brain. I'm not going to tell you why, but and basically he picks up some of the emotion and some of the thoughts of David, and he becomes very much more upbeat and a lot of fun to watch. Even though all you're seeing is a little robotic arm eye thing moving around this spaceship, it's pretty funny and it's very entertaining, I will not lie. It's just brilliant. And you get one word which is always stuck in my head, and I believe I have a mate that likes this film as well. It comes out, and he comes out with it a lot when they first meet, is compliance. Just that one single word is brilliant. Yeah, you see him for about 3/4 of about 3/4 of an hour, and he makes that film. That voice, that prop, that eye, just makes that film. Especially when he scans David's brain, and he picks up some other stuff from his brain, and then basically starts acting around. Basically, is the only word I can use to describe what he does. And he's just brilliant. He's just absolutely brilliant. I could talk so much about this film. I could give so much away from this film, but I'm trying not to if you haven't seen it. There's also another little bit in this film where you get to see some of the alien creatures that he's picked up in this past, and I don't know all the names, and I've had to write down the main one. But you get to see this thing that eats David's cap and all that. And there's this slug who apparently has got a cold, ugly looking thing. It's disgusting, actually, to be fair. But it comes to the fact of a little alien thing called a Puckmaron. I had to write that one down, unfortunately, because I would never have remembered it. I believe this little alien critter is rated as being one of the top 10 cutest alien creatures ever, and it's understandable. You don't see a lot of him, but when you do, he's brilliant. You first meet him dangling from a branch, a little tiny little branch in his cage and all that kind of stuff. And Max in the film wants to take him home, but he can't because his world's been destroyed. So basically, he's an orphan. And to be fair, David basically just kind of adopts it towards the end of the film. But he's kind of cute, kind of brilliant. Which then gets me on to near the end of the film. And I'm not going to give, like I said, I'm not going to give too much away on this one. But there's a scene on there, even to this day, still brings a little tear to my eye. When basically they're just saying goodbye, when Max and David are saying goodbye to each other before he has to go home. I don't know what it is about that scene. I don't know whether David starts crying or it's just the emotion of the scene and the emotion and the fact that the film is coming to an end, knowing that it's such a great film in my eyes. I really had a little tear in my eye. I had a little bit of a tear in my eye yesterday when I watched it. I don't know what it is. It's just, I think it was that bond that got developed between David and Max through that short amount of time in the film, which is basically, you didn't want to see it end, you know. There is a line that David says, it goes, "Will I ever see you again?" Now, if Walt Disney had any sense, they might have done a sequel, or they could have done a sequel, but they didn't. Which is a shame, but if you think about it, would the sequel have been any better than the original? No, I don't think it probably would have done, but it would have already been nice to see a return of Max. So, if I had to review this nowadays, I think you know basically what the review that I'm going to give on this one. I would give it 100 out of 200. It's amazing. I absolutely love this film. 2 bits. There is a bit of a bugbear, not with this version of the film, but in one of my other reviews they said it was in line for a reboot or a remake, which I seriously don't agree with. I mean, what Walt Disney should do with this film is digitally remaster it. With the technology they've got now, it'd be a lot better quality. Put it back in the cinemas and just release it back in the cinemas and all that kind of stuff. You'll have families going to that. They'll be laughing. It's just a great family film. I mean, I'd go and watch it in the cinema. I know there's other people my age that will go watch it in the cinema, and I know there's people older than me which will go watch it in the cinema. I know that my own mum and dad themselves very much love this film themselves. They find it very enjoyable to watch, and if it's on the TV here, they'll always watch it. So there we go. I mean, like I said, I could talk about this film a lot longer. I could go into a lot more depth about this film, but I'm just going to try and keep it like that for the time being, until some people, if you haven't seen it, have seen it, and then I could probably go into depth with it a little bit more. So, give the video a like. Put some if you agree with what I said, if you've seen the film, put it in the comments below. If you disagree with this film or you don't like this film, just put it in the comments below. I don't mind. It's all good. Please give this video a share. Strictly because of the fact I'd love to see this film re-released in the cinemas. Instead of wasting money on a reboot or a remake, they should just remaster this film and re-release it back in the cinemas. They will make an absolute mint. Personally, I think they would. Go onto my Facebook page, Dave Cook Film Reviews and Trailer Reactions. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I shall be back very soon for another review. Take care, have a great rest of the day, and I shall see you all very soon. Bye bye.